Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you want to see how I have my two-car garage woodworking shop set up, stick around. So my space is a about 20 by 22 two-car garage that is attached to my house. And I'm using probably a little over 3/4 of the space. I do have a little bit in the back that's kind of like for laundry because my washer and dryer is back here. So I do have some household cabinets, areas where I store some household stuff. For the most part, I utilize the whole garage. And I guess we'll start over here in the back left corner and move around counterclockwise from there. So this back corner is where I keep my old Delta drill press. I don't use it that much, but you know, it does come in handy every once in a while. I kind of just put this little makeshift table on it just to kind of make it a little bit bigger. I also have like miscellaneous spray can storage, mostly like solvents and stuff back over here that I just kind of tuck into this corner. The entire drill press is sitting on a couple little cabinets. I just made a little cabinet for the bits and everything, and then down here is just another little rolling cabinet that allows me just to wheel it around if I need to. I never really do, but I mean, this cabinet has been used for a lot of different things in the past. This is one of the areas that, or one of the tools that I'm going to be upgrading pretty soon. I'm not going to get anything crazy, but I do need to get another benchtop drill press, just something with a little more power, because this thing does bog down if I'm trying to go through hardwoods, and it's kind of a pain in the butt to change the belts for the speeds and stuff. So I kind of want to make a little minor upgrade on this eventually, but I don't really use it that much to really justify it that much right now. Okay, so next to the drill press I have basically the start of my miter saw station, and it starts off with this cabinet. This is a Grizzly steel table with the T-track table on the top, and I just built in these drawers to it, and I keep a lot of my hardware in here and a few miscellaneous things and like miscellaneous power tools and stuff that I don't use that much, but they all go in here. And then obviously on the top behind the miter saw I just kind of keep again some more miscellaneous things like painter's triangles and little knobs and those little carts right here. I just kind of throw stuff in there. It's kind of a catch-all right now. This table's been pretty nice. I used to use it as an outfeed table for my table saw, but I didn't really use the T-tracks like I thought I was. I'm not a really big fan of them really, so I kind of just parked it here for right now and kind of put my miter saw on top of it. And eventually I'll probably redo this miter saw station to clean it up a little bit, but I'm using it for right now and it works out fine, and it's been a pretty good cabinet. Up above the miter stand I have all my drills hung up here, and some various squeeze clamps mostly, and a few F-style like 12-inch clamps that I keep up here, just stuff that I kind of grab fairly often just to kind of quickly put something together. And then up top I just have this little simple cubby system, and right now I'm using it for some scrap wood storage, like small cutoffs. I'll just kind of pick through here every once in a while, and just for little things, or if I got doing a cutting board or something, I'll fish through that and see what pieces I can use just to get rid of them. And then I have some glue storage, dado stack, and this cubby is just for some other power tools. I got a couple cordless nailers that I use often, and my cordless trim router, and you know, a couple blades. And up on the very top I keep a few jigs, kind of just stuff that I don't use that often, and a little bit of household stuff like some paint that I just want to get out of the way and I don't really touch that often. So I guess next I'll talk about the miter saw. I have the Festool Capex, and I really like it. It's an awesome saw. I love it because of the forward slide. I could push it up really close to the back wall instead of having the rails coming off the back. Super accurate. The bevel and tilt features are the smoothest around, so it's really great. Dust collection's pretty much, well, I'd say it's the best out of everything out there right now. But it doesn't catch everything. It's not as perfect as, I don't know, some people might say, but it's like 90% of the dust is captured with the CT MIDI that I have down here, and I have a 36 millimeter hose attached to it, and you know, it gets a little bit in the back, a little bit off to the sides, but after a lot of use. But I just detach this hose and clean that up as needed. Nothing bad I can say about this except for maybe the price, but I mean that is what it is. I should have this saw for a very long time. Attached to the Capex, I have the Festool trimming attachments. The saw is just sitting on top of the cabinet that I have. I made this a while ago, and I got plans from Brad at Fix This Build That. Super awesome little cabinet, and really good project to learn how to make cabinets. I didn't always use it as a miter saw stand. I kind of had it in the corner just as a standalone little work surface, and it worked really good for that. But when I kind of switched things up, I moved it over here, and I didn't want to get rid of it because I liked it, but I kind of just extended the top on it a little bit and popped the miter saw on it, and so far it's working good. And I may rebuild this whole miter saw station just into something a little more cohesive. Right now it's kind of like a mishmash of stuff right now, but it is functional, so I have a hard time kind of getting rid of it. But as time goes on, I do, like most people, like to change things up. I see how my workflow goes and how I can improve it. Behind the miter saw, I store a few things, mostly junk, I guess, but mostly stuff that's just I lay down here for a short time, and then I move it where it's supposed to go. But right now back here I have my Sedgley pouch by leather by Dragonfly. This thing's awesome. I love this thing. I'll probably end up doing a review on this here pretty soon. I've been using this for like a little over a month now. I think I got it around Thanksgiving time, but I always use this now instead of the apron, just because it's so handy to just throw on your belt and keep going. But I have some F-style clamps, 6-inch clamps here, and most of these are just from Harbor Freight. They're like $3 a piece, and these things are pretty good, especially for the price. I have my sandpaper organizer here for all my orbital sanders, 5-inch and 6-inch, and a few buffing pads and stuff. You know, a little pull saw that I use every once in a while that I just hang up out of the way, and some sandpaper for my drum sander, and just a couple other things. My branding iron, and one of my other sanders. This is the Festool ETS 125. That just kind of lives up there. And then right here is my router bit cabinet, and I made this a couple years ago, but pretty basic. But I like to keep my most of my 1/2-inch bits, stuff that I use in my router table, is up here for the most part. I have a few 1/4-inch bits down at the bottom here, but most of this stuff that I keep in this cabinet is for my router table. Then on top I have another white side roundover bit set and a little bit of super glue up here, an activator. I always reach for this, use it all the time. Next up we have my bandsaw, and this is the Laguna 1412. Runs on 110. Really nice saw. I like this thing a lot. I got this used off of Craigslist. It wasn't really even used. It was someone had it and like used it like one time and didn't want it anymore, so I got a really good deal on it. But used it a lot to resaw. It's got about 14-inch resaw capacity. I don't really do anything that big, but usually about 6 inches is the most that I resaw. But it's really nice, easy to use. It was super easy to set up. It's easy to maintain. It just does what I need it to. Never had any issues with it. Okay, so now we're getting to I guess the back corner or the front, whatever you want to call it, but this is the wall that actually attaches to my house. And this is where I keep my laser engraver. This is the X-Tool D1, and it's been a really good machine. I haven't used it a lot, but when I have, it's come in really handy, and I'm just still learning how to engrave. But I keep it back here on top of this Husky toolbox, and this is where I keep like a lot of my just mechanics, socket sets and wrenches and hammers and stuff like that. It's not really woodworking related, but it's where I keep like all my hand tools like that I use around the house. And I also have my lumber storage up above it, a couple Bora racks that I got off of Amazon, and it needs to be organized, but they've been really nice. I mean, they handle a lot of weight, and it's just when you have the horizontal storage like this, especially for me, like I clutter it a lot, so I need to go through this and clean it up and get rid of a few things or use a few things on some projects. But the racks themselves have been really awesome. I just keep this box fan here, just whenever I'm running laser, I have the garage door open and I turn the fan on, it blows everything out that way. So this is a cabinet system that I made off this way, which kind of divides the shop into the work shop area and then the household areas over here where my laundry room is, or laundry area is. So I don't really have any woodworking related or building related materials in this cabinet. It's all just household stuff. But on this end here is where I keep my planer stand and my flip top planer stand. So on this I have my DeWalt DW735 planer and the rigid oscillating belt sander on the bottom. And this cart I also made from plans from Brad at Fix This Build That. It's just super awesome to be able to keep both these tools in one spot, and whenever I need to use this I just wheel it out and put it out pretty much this way and plug it in and let her rip. On this cabinet I do keep a couple extra of my Festool guide rails and also my Armor pocket hole jig, which I have on this board here that I just take off and bring over to my table to use. Okay, so this corner of the shop is on the back side of those cabinets that I use for my house stuff, but this has changed really recently. I just moved this a few weeks ago, but I used to have my CNC on a fold-up table that was on this wall, and it was really cool. It was just a basic design that a lot of people use, where the whole table will actually flip up and stow against the wall when you're not using it. But the only problem I had with it is I never flipped it up. So I'm always using this now. I didn't realize I would use it so much, but so in order for the flip up portion of the table to work, it has to hang out from the wall like an extra 16 inches to make room for the gantry here to be able to fold up against the wall. So it was sticking out super far and I never folded it up, so I just decided to move it over here, and it's been working out really good so far. I put it on top of this little cabinet that I used to have underneath my workbench, but I built a frame underneath on the floor and just laid this on top of it, attached it to the concrete, and then the cabinet that it's sitting on is about 24 inches deep, and then to support the back of it I just have a 2x4 screwed into this cabinet system here. Most of the weight is on this, so it's super sturdy. But this is my CNC. This is the Shapeoko Pro XXL, and it's just been awesome. I've been making a lot of signs, jigs for around the shop, just all sorts of stuff, and it's been fun to learn. I've never had any experience with the CNC, so this was a great machine to learn on, in my opinion, just because Carbide Crate makes it so easy. Their software is so easy. It has the bit setter here that automatically measures the z-axis of your bits when you do the bit changes, which is always kind of a pain in the butt when you're new to get that right. And it also has the bit 0, which is the X and Y and Z axis little 0 block. So super easy to use and great to learn on, because you don't have to worry about all those little nuances that can trip people up, I think, just getting started with it. But I don't really see myself outgrowing this for quite a while. I still have a lot to learn on it with the design software and actually how to operate the machine, but it's been really fun to use and very, very, very useful. I really like this. So next to the CNC, I have my dust collector, and that's a Grizzly G0548ZP, the Polar Bear series. It's a 2 horsepower unit with the canister filter, and it's been a really great dust collector. The only complaint I have with it, it's not really a big deal either, but I mean, it is kind of loud. I don't know how many decibels it is, but it's got to be like 85 to 90. So it is kind of loud, but in here it doesn't really matter because I have ear protection on most of the time, but you can hear it from inside the house. But most of them are going to be around that noise level, unless you're getting into the higher end systems, which I do plan on upgrading maybe this year, just to something that's a little more powerful, but mostly just like more quiet and something that I could more easily and more efficiently hard pipe most of the tools into. So I've been looking at a few of the Oneida systems for the future, but this has been a really good dust collector for the past few years. Before I had this, I had a Grizzly little 1 horsepower wall mount unit, which is really, really great too. That worked really good. But this is nice with the larger capacity bag and the canister filter, which cleans pretty easy with the little flapper on top. And I do like it so far. And what I'm doing right now, which works out good, is just using the 4-inch flex hose. And I got the flex hose from Rockler, so it's a collapsible, or I guess expandable hose. So when I'm not using it, it stows away up here really neat. And I have one of the lines for the flex hose, and that goes from tool to tool. And then down below I have a blast gate for a 2.5-inch line that goes to the CNC, and another 4-inch line that goes to my jointer, which is hooked up all the time. In this corner next to the CNC, I have my drum sander. It's a Supermax 1632, and I love having this drum sander. It works out awesome for cutting boards. Sanding down end grain boards is super easy with this. Still takes a little bit of time, but it's just so much easier than attacking it with the random orbit sander. And I use it for face frames and other little panels. I wish that I would have gotten the 1938, which is the next size up. It wasn't that much more, but it would have been nice to have a little bit more room. But also, again, I guess it would take up a lot more room. I mean, this alone does take up quite a bit of room, but I do keep it here right now, and when I need to use it, it's on casters. I will roll it into the middle of the shop and connect the flex hose to it and get going. Behind the drum sander, I have just a little storage rack for some stain and finishes and spray cans, stuff like that. This is a design that I got from Jay Bates, which a lot of people use, but it's super, super handy to have around. Okay, the next tool I want to talk about is my joiner. And this is a Grizzly G0490X joiner with a spiral cutter head, which is really nice. Very happy with this machine. I've got this a few years ago as well. It's been just a really great machine. No issues, no problems with it whatsoever. I really like it because it has a really long bed on it, plus the spiral cutter head is awesome. Really smooth cuts. This thing was a great deal at the time that I got it too. I bought this directly from Grizzly. I have it set up in this back corner. This is the opposite side or from where we started. and it fits really nicely here. Most of the time I'm only jointing boards that are like 4 feet at the max. So if I just move my drum sander out of the way, I have that space here for the in feed. But for the out feed, if I'm doing something 4 feet or longer, I do have to kind of angle this so the out feed is pointing out towards the outside of the garage door. But it's no problem because it has just a integrated mobile base. I just pump down on the handle, pull it out a little bit, kind of reposition it if I ever have to do anything long. And you know, with that being said, I can do boards that are, I've done at least 8 feet on this. Not very typical, but I have done it just with kind of repositioning it just a little bit. But I do like it here because I have the dust collector hose just permanently hooked up to it on a blast gate, so I just pop that open whenever I want to use it. So it's very convenient, and it's a nice little spot for it right now. My assembly table. So right here we have a MFT 3 top, which I have sitting on top of a mobile cart, and this has changed recently. It's actually in progress right now. That's why it's not finished and it looks kind of weird right now. But what this is for the longest time I had my MFT on top of this mobile cart here, and it worked out great. I wheeled it around, I can put it out in the driveway, I can do whatever. Use this to cross-cut cabinet panels, stuff like that, and it was great. But I wanted it to be bigger. So what I did is I built an exact copy of my current or my existing MFT cart, and I basically combined them together into one. So so pretty soon, once my new MFT table comes in the mail, I will have 2 MFT tops on this one cart that I've combined. So it'll give me a little bit extra room. I'm also going to set up the rail. I'm going to set up the guide rail going the long way, so that way I can get some more capacity. I should be able to cross-cut like 40 inches or something like that if I set the rail up going this way instead of this way like it was originally designed. Or I mean, it's designed to go the other way too, but so this is going to be, I think, really nice once I'm done. You know, I still got to do drawers, some sustainer holders over there. It's about halfway done right now, but still wanted to show it because I think this is going to be a good fit for me. I always had an assembly table that was attached to my table saw and did double duty as a assembly table and an outfeed table, but I would always have stuff all over it and then have to rip something long on the table saw, and then I'd have to move all that stuff, and it kind of got to be a pain. So I like this here in this location right now. When it's done, I'll have a nice big worktop. I can put a piece of foam on the top of it if I need to cut any large sheets. Okay, so here's my latest addition. I just received this in the mail about a week ago, so I've just about had a week using this, but it's the Festool Work Center. And always wondered about this, and it seemed like it was a good addition, and it seemed like it would be very helpful, but there wasn't a lot of information out there on it. There's no videos or anything, so I wasn't really sure about it, but after using it for a week, I really like it. It really organizes this whole setup here with the CT26 and then the work center on top. It kind of wrangles all my hoses and my sanders. I keep a Rotex and the ETS 125 on here, and so far I really like it. It's I mean, the best part about it is it gets these hoses out of the way, and I didn't really want to get a boom arm because it kind of makes the well, from what I've seen, it seems like it makes the extractor kind of harder to move around. It kind of has some outriggers that support it, so just more stuff to like maybe trip over on the ground. So I thought this might be a better option, and so far it has been pretty good because I pretty much park my CT vac pretty much next to the table saw here, and that way I have access from the sanders to where my new assembly table is, and I can also kind of just angle it out to the driveway because that's where I cut most of my sheet goods. When I have 4x8 panels, I'll put those out on the driveway and cut them there before I bring in the smaller pieces here. So I like it so far. I will be doing a more in-depth review on this because I've seen that there's really not that many out there. I mean, I guess it's not that complicated of a thing. It's just a work or a tool holder basically that goes on the vacuum. But there were some features and stuff I always wondered about and that I didn't really quite get as clear, I guess, an idea of what it was actually going to be until I actually pulled the trigger and got it. So I'm happy with it. It's very nice. But I will be doing a more in-depth review on this setup in the future. And I think last but not least is the table saw. This is the Grizzly G0690. And I think it's discontinued now, but it was around for a long time. And this is their 3 horsepower cabinet saw, and it's awesome. I mean, super powerful. Never had any issues with the motor bogging down, cutting any type of wood. It has some good accessories that you can get with it through Grizzly even now. But it's just been a really good table saw. It was calibrated really well from the factory. All the parts were in good condition. No problems shipping, anything like that. And everything was well adjusted from the factory. But the manual is good. It went through everything. How to adjust everything. And I really didn't need to do much to get this thing dialed in. So I was very happy with that. I guess I've had this for maybe 5 years now. Never had one single issue with it. The fence is pretty good. I mean, it's just like a T-style fence, but all the adjustments on it are really good. One thing I did do is I did a router table extension wing, so I just made that with some MDF and put a router lift in it and dust collection box underneath it, and that really makes the router super easy to use and super clean. I mean, with the dust collector hooked up to that, I mean, if I'm doing dados or anything else, I mean, it collects almost everything. So between the fence and then the port where the router is, it really does a good job. So okay, that's it for now. Thanks a lot for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe to the channel. I got more content coming out soon. Thanks a lot. See you on the next one.